Hi there, we're going to do a quick review of Learning Target 2.2. This one says, I can solve equations with variables on both sides and justify my steps. So we'll get started with number 1. Number 1 says 4b plus 2 equals 3b. So I want to figure out what number could I plug in for b to make that equation true. So what you want to do with these type of problems is you want to get your variables over to one side and your numbers over to the other. So let's start off with moving this 4b over to the right side of the equal sign. So since it's a positive 4b, I'm going to do the opposite and I'm going to subtract 4b from both sides of that equal sign. Those end up canceling out, so we're left with 2 is equal to 3b minus 4b will be a negative 1b. We don't have quite b by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. We end up getting negative 2 is equal to b. And you can always check your work by plugging that back in to making sure that you have it correct. 4 times negative 2 plus 2, does that equal 3 times a negative 2? Well, you get negative 8 plus 2, is that equal to negative 6? And it is true, negative 6 is equal to negative 6. So the nice thing about these problems is you can always check if you got your answer correct by plugging it back in. Moving over to number 2, sometimes you might have to simplify on one side of the equal sign or both sides of the equal sign first before you start moving your variables over. So it looks like on this side, number 2, we have to distribute first because we've got our parentheses going on there. So you end up getting 2k minus 5 on the left side is going to equal 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times a negative 2k will be a minus 6k. Okay, so now that we have it simplified, now I can move my variables over to one side. I always like to move the smallest variable, like this negative 6k is, smaller than 2k, so we add 6k to both sides of the equal sign. 2k plus 6k is 8k. Bring down our minus 5 is equal to 3 over here. Now I want to get rid of my numbers, or I want to move my numbers over to the other side, so I'm going to do the opposite of minus 5. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. You end up getting 8k is equal to 8. Now it's just a one-step equation. We have to get k by itself, so we have to divide by 8 from both sides. You end up getting k is equal to 8 divided by 8 will be 1. Okay, so keep moving on. Number 3, looks like we have to simplify on both sides of the equal sign again before we can start moving our variables over. So here we're going to combine like terms. We have a 2c and a positive 1c over here. Add those together, we get 3c, and then I'm just going to rewrite my plus 7. Is equal to, on the right side of the equal sign, looks like we can combine the negative 14 plus 21. That ends up being a positive 7, and then we can just rewrite my 3c plus 3c. And then you already notice that those equations are like the same right here. We've got 3c plus 7 is equal to 7 plus 3c. What you can do is you can subtract your variables just to kind of see that they do cancel out. So we end up getting 7 is equal to 7. That's true. So what we can say now, whenever the variables cancel out like that and the constants do equal each other, we can say that all real numbers are solutions. Or if you don't want to write all that out, you could just do the little r, the symbol for all real numbers. So whenever your variables cancel out and the numbers equal each other, then that means that it's going to be all real solutions. So let's move over to number 4. If we were to simplify here, again, remember you have to simplify first. This one's actually a pretty quick, easy one. Just distributed property, we get 2y plus 12, because 2 times 6 is equal to 3y. Get your variables over to one side, so I subtract 2y. We get 12 is equal to 1y, or 12 is equal to y. Okay, let's move on to number 5. Looks like we have to simplify again by doing the distributive property. Distribute that to both terms. We get 8x plus 8 is equal to 4x minus 8. Move over your smaller variable first. I would do that. You get a 4x. Bring down your plus 8 is equal to, don't forget to bring down that minus sign, a negative 8. Now subtract 8 from both sides. We end up getting 4x is equal to a negative 16. Divide both sides by 4. We get x is equal to a negative 4. Okay, and then last one to go over, we are going to have to simplify first again. So we have a 4y minus y. Make sure to bring the sign that's in front of it with it. So it's 4 minus y, 1, which is 3y, plus 7 is going to equal 10 plus 3y. If you try to get your variables over to one side, you're going to notice that they cancel. So we end up getting 7 is equal to 10. So this is another scenario where if your variables cancel out, you have to look at the constants, see how they do not equal each other. They're not the same number. So what that means is that it's going to be no solutions. We can't plug in any number for y up here to make this equation true. So that's why it's no solution. And if you want to do that, circle with the slash in it. You could also do that. Okay, so this was just a quick review, a quick refresher of how to solve equations with variables on both sides. If you need more help, then you need to come in early or after school, and I can definitely go over with you one-on-one.